Hello gamers, your ears are in the right place. I am your host Kelthar and you're listening to I Never Cast for this episode 16. And we are a podcast dedicated to bringing forth discussions or debates on controversial gaming topics and hopefully putting them to rest. And today we're actually going to be discussing the mega popular roguelite game Hades, which came out, when did that come out? 2 weeks ago? Something like that. But before we get into the deep dive of the discussion, let me introduce who we have here with us today. So returning to the podcast, we have Erebus. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Good, man. It's been a while, but excited to be back.
Yeah, it's been a while. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. And we have a very special guest with us today for the first time on the podcast. We have, is it Bama Hutboon? Am I saying that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Bama Hutboon. And we'll just call you Boon for short today. But how's it going, man?
That works.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Good. So for those of us that have absolutely no idea who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. How personal do you want here?
That's up to you. You're the one on the internet broadcasting around the globe here. So
Okay, well I'll try to stick it to just the gaming related stuff. I would call myself a casual gamer.
Okay.
I met you, Kelthar, here in Gander, where I'm currently residing, and you are not.
That is right.
And
I abandoned that place.
as of a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess that's good enough for now.
Yeah. So you stream on Twitch, right?
Very seldom and very, very amateurly.
Amateurly? Is that a word?
No.
No, it is now. It is now. But yeah, but you just
understand what I meant, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But yes. So Boone, you just started streaming very recently. You're very, very, very new. But what kind of stuff do you stream on your Twitch channel?
I think the very first thing I might have streamed was some Super Mario Maker 2, because that was the first thing that I watched on Twitch.
Right.
And I found that really entertaining, really interesting. And so that's what I started. I've done a little mix in the little bit that I've been on there. I don't really want to continue doing a mix. I guess I'm just kind of trying to find what I enjoy playing the most.
Sure.
While others are watching,
trying to find what sticks, and then see what ropes people in, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like a variety of things, but I don't want to be playing a variety of things all the time.
No, for sure. It is a grind to get into it and get a steady. Eventually, you'll get your steady viewership to come in and all that. Yeah. But
I started with that. But I guess to segue into, not that I'm taking lead here, but to segue into what we're talking about, I most recently streamed a couple hours of Hades.
Ooh, that is an excellent segue, because that's what we'll be talking about here today. But yes, if any of you are into Nintendo Switch in general, Bama Hutboon is he streams, as far as I know, exclusively Nintendo Switch games. So give him a follow on Twitch at Bama Hutboon. Yes, no worries.
Done.
Perfect. Just before we dive into the discussion here, we have a new time. Normally we were at 9 o'clock Eastern time on Mondays. Now we're a half hour back from that. So now we're going to do 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to shorten the show a little bit too. I know the show has been a little bit lengthy in the past, so we're going to try to keep it to under an hour. And if you can't catch the show live on Twitch, you can always catch the live show on YouTube. We're also available on most major podcast networks, and if we're not on one, just let us know. And you can find us on Twitch, where we have a pre-show, and we usually have a bit of a post-show after as well. And at the very end of the episode, there will be a trivia game show where I ask a question and try to stump these guys and see if they can figure out the answer to the question. So before we talk about Hades, what have you guys been up to? It could be gaming-wise or life-wise, whatever. So Erebus, we'll start with you. What have you done the last little while, since July was the last episode we had? So
July was the last episode, yeah. So I'm back to work full-time, so life is a little bit more normal. And I don't know if I had my second son before the last stream or not, but I have another son. So I have.
Whoa, when is your son's birthday?
July 30th.
Is it?
No, I just made it up.
Oh.
It's July 30th.
Oh, okay. Well, our last episode was like July 21st, I think. So I remember last episode you said, I want to plug my baby. Your future baby. So I think you were just about to have one.
Okay,
that's
yeah.
what it was.
No. It's so he's 2 months old now, and my other son is 21 months old. So our house is crazy, and so that's keeping me busy. So the gaming is not nearly as high as what it used to be, or dare I say, what I like it to be. But it's been fun. But gaming wise, playing lots of Hades. I haven't played in the last couple of days, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But I still love it. I've been hooked recently with a couple buddies on been like a space mood. So we've been playing No Man's Sky, which I think is it could almost have its own podcast too. It's a space sim exploration game. I'm playing it in VR. You played it a couple of times with Mikael there as well, and so far it's been a hit. It was a game that when it launched, it was a complete flop and utter disaster, but they've released 10 free expansions, and it's been
is it 10?
10, yeah.
Holy
10 was
crap.
10 Origins is the newest one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's had a huge kind of redemption arc with Hello Games, which is the developer. So it's been cool to watch, and I'm really digging it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So that's what I'm doing lately.
Nice. Yeah. As Erebus said, I've been joining him there too, and it's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing, especially in
Very
VR.
chill.
I don't know what it's
Very
like outside of VR, but I imagine it's very similar. Considering
I just tried it. I tried it right before the podcast for about a half an hour with non-VR, and it's cool, but it's not nearly the same experience. Not even close.
And I know Athricus is completely hooked on it, and he doesn't even have VR. So
yeah, that's pretty cool
for sure. And Boone, what about you? I know you said you've been playing a little bit of Hades. Have you been playing anything else?
Yeah, a little bit of Mario Maker as well, as I mentioned earlier. I don't know if either of you have tried this. This is a pretty casual game, but it's pretty fun. The Super Mario Brothers 35 that came out, I don't know, a week or two ago.
That's the Battle Royale, right, of Mario?
Yes, it's a free download with the Nintendo Switch Online package.
Right.
And it's essentially like what Tetris 99 was, just with Mario Brothers. And
that's
there's
awesome.
35 of you. Oh, it's so fun. Yeah.
I gotta try that.
Twice.
Did you say that's a casual game? Is it?
Well,
I would say that's more like a stressful, like hectic game.
You know what I mean? Like you sit down and 15 minutes later at max, you're done around and you can go on.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I guess in some senses it's a bit of a butt clencher, but it's a lot of fun. I've won twice. I came first twice.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And I came once.
Right.
And then I've placed like average all the other times, but it's a lot of fun. There's like some daily challenges with it, and so it's like a reason to go back every day. And but no, it's a lot of fun. I recommend if you got the Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah. Whenever my Nintendo Switch Online ran out, so when I get it back, I'll definitely be checking.
I wish they do that Twitch Prime promotion again.
Oh man, we got so many free months from that.
Yeah, like they had it was a year, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was two 6-month things, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I assume that's gone now, but yeah, for sure. But yeah, definitely, I will check that out when I get online again, because I'm sure if they ever make Smash Bros. Online actually playable, then I will be signing up immediately.
Dream.
Yeah, that is the dream. All right, I think we're ready to get into the topic of the week. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, the topic of the week is going to be Hades. Now, I don't know if we'll have any controversial discussion today. Maybe we will have a little bit, because that's what the show normally centers on. But today, all three of us have absolutely loved this game, and we figured, hey, why not? We should make a show all about this game to discuss it. And let's just get into it. Like this game is awesome, right? Like, do you guys think this game is game of the year contending? What do you think?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's. Well, do you want are you gonna do like a quick?
Oh, okay. Let me back up. For those, if anybody has no idea what the heck Hades is, I guess Erebus, do you want to just give a brief overview of what it is?
Yeah, it's isometric roguelite game. So it's made by oh my god, Supergiant Games. who are the makers of Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre. They are pretty small. They're still an indie developer, but Hades is their first take on the roguelite genre, and it's been on Steam in kind of like an early access thing for the last year, and it's like overwhelmingly positive. I think it's at 40 or 50,000 reviews there on Steam, and it just went live on Switch and PC and Xbox and stuff a couple weeks ago. And essentially, it's a roguelike game that has embedded story elements. So the general, the kind of spoiler-free story is that your Hades' son Zagreus, I believe his name is.
Zagreus, yeah.
Yeah.
Zagreus, and you are, for a few reasons, trying to escape hell, essentially, and that you're basically climbing through various four different areas, trying to escape. And when you die, you come back to Hades' lair, room, or whatever it's called, and you progress the story. And then you keep going, and there's talent trees, and there's customization options there's different weapons, and it just works. The combat's fluid, FPS is good on Switch. It's highly, highly addictive. And a lot of people that aren't fans of roguelites that I've talked to or seen reviews on, for whatever reason, this game is clicking with a lot of people that aren't fans of the genre. I myself like roguelites, like I'm a fan of roguelites, so it clicked with me anyways. But it's working for a lot of people with a lot of different gaming backgrounds. So I think that's why I think it might have Game of the Year material, because it seems to appease to a lot of different audiences.
Yeah, what I find interesting about Hades is that like the story is actually good. Like in most most roguelites have minimal to no story whatsoever, right? But the way the storytelling of this game is genius. Like I think I read an article today saying like there's 10 hours worth of dialogue in the game, just like purely of people speaking in the game in Erebus. I know you said there's like, I don't know how many dialogue options there are, but like it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I haven't seen the same thing said twice.
I haven't seen the same thing said twice either. And the trick, one of the tricks they did is that Zagreus is actually voiced by the guy that does the music in the game. He's one of like the higher, I think he does a couple things. His name's Darren something. But it was kind of a joke, apparently, the backstory, that he kind of did a couple sample voice lines for Zagreus, and the creative director or the guy in charge or whoever kind of thought his personality was perfect for it. So they used him. So they used they spent 3 years doing a lot more voice acting than you typically see in a game. And I think that's why there's a few of the voice actors are in-house, like they just work at the studio. So you have a lot of different voice options and things that I noticed, like if you beat the first boss or fight the first boss a certain way, she might later reference that back at the starting area. Like there's just different, like it's very tailored voice options. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
And it's all voice acted.
Yeah, and that's insane too, right? Like it's literally everything is voice acted. What do you think of the story, Boone? Like, are you into it at all? Are you?
Oh, big time. It's funny. Well, I'll get to that, but I wanted to go back a little bit. What Erebus was saying about he himself is a fan of roguelike. I wouldn't have said that I'm a fan of them, but I don't dislike them either. The first one that I ever tried was Wizard of Legend.
Yeah.
If I know you like that, Keltar. I don't know if
I think we played that for the. Did we play that for the first time together?
You showed me that game, and
Yeah.
then I downloaded it, and I did enjoy it, but I'd say a couple hours max, and then I kind of put it down, never thought about it again. And so that was my first of that type, and it never really, like I said, I didn't not like it. It was kind of right in the middle for me, so I never really cared for that type.
Yeah.
And one of my friends had told me about this game, or I saw on my profile that he was playing it online. So I asked him what it was like, because I had heard a little bit about it. He said it was amazing and he couldn't stop playing. So I said, all right, I'll check into a few reviews or whatever about it. And I did, and I was like, this looks pretty interesting. And I downloaded it, and I feel like based on this game, that this is my favorite genre of games, if that makes sense. All of a sudden, like it really, really does work. And what you said about the story, I never would have even expected there to be a good story in this type of game. With a game where the idea is you just always start from the beginning, always start from the beginning. How could there be a story? But there is, and it works really well.
Yeah. I always have this mindset where I'm like, I hate wasting time, whether it's in a game or no matter what I'm doing. So typically for me as well, like if I was playing a game that was purely reset, like every new game was 100% reset, I typically wouldn't have interest in that. But the fact that there is progress that carries over, there is story that progresses every time you die, almost not encouraging you to die, but it's almost like you have something to look forward to when you die, right? That is incredible to me that they're able to pull that off so well.
That's one of the biggest things with the roguelite genre. Like I played. So one of the things that roguelites have done recently is they've added, newer ones have added progression systems, which I think solved a lot of the problem. Because like one of the first ones that I played was Enter the Gungeon, and it was fun. But when you died, there wasn't like you literally you essentially started fresh again, and there was no story elements. So you rage. Like I rage in games. I get mad when I play games if I die. So I'm trying to, when I don't beat it, it frustrates me and I just get frustrated and eventually quit the game. But with Hades, it's almost like welcoming. Like it's like you die.
It is.
And like you're mad for a second, just for a second, you're like, oh, crap, I screwed that up or, misplay it or whatever. And then you emerge from like the little blood pool, and then you've got new dialogue options, and Hades is saying something to you, and the other, my God, Achilles is there saying stuff, and like there's all these cool just characters that are, you don't know what they're going to say. Sometimes they're missing, sometimes they're engaged with each other, and then it seems very personalized and customized. Obviously, some of it's on rails and progresses normally, but then there's so much customized voice options at you depending on what happened in your game, and I don't know. It's addictive, and then it's kind of got that just one more thing where you're
100%.
All of a sudden it's 1 in the morning, and you're like, oh, I'll just do, and it's a really easy pick up and play. You can play it for 20 minutes, put it down, or really, it's good.
Except it's hard to play it for only 20 minutes.
Exactly, for sure.
But you can.
But you can,
yeah.
If you have the willpower to turn it
Yes,
off.
that's right.
Yeah, but I just find it amazing. Like you can start the fight or start the dungeon or whatever it's called, and then you see like Zeus's boon. So you like pick up like something from Zeus, and he says something to you, and then like you might pick up like something from Poseidon, and then Poseidon's like, you got Zeus's thing from before. That's awesome, and me and Zeus get along or don't get along, whatever it is. And then like you might pick up something later on, and that relates back to that, and it's just like the amount of like permutations, whatever the word is, that would like it's crazy how many different combinations of dialogue options there are. I've never really seen it like that before in any game.
It's really good for the noob gamers too, like because like there's a thing called the mirror something. I can't remember what exactly what it's called. It's the mirror in your bedroom, and you get passive kind of upgrades over time. Like you can spend currency that you get basically and keep upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. So you get stronger and stronger and stronger over time. So if you truly suck at the game and you're really terrible and you can't progress, you will naturally, just because it slowly gets easier and slowly gets easier. But to your point, it never feels repetitive because you go through, you have different boons, different gods helping you each time. You could have like, sometimes you get that kind of god combo where you're just like trucking through it because you've got like some good synergies going on, and other times it's a struggle. And then I don't know, you guys, how far are you guys in the game? Have you guys cleared it?
I've gotten to the 3rd level, Elysium, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the... Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
No, go ahead.
I've gotten to the 2nd boss twice, but I've died both times.
Okay.
So I've gotten.
I've beaten it twice, and obviously I won't get into spoilers, but what I will say about the story is once you clear it, there's a massive story element, wicked voice acting, really cool cinematography, like in the game, like that walks you through what happens. Essentially, you get out, right? At like you, and then there's a story thing, and then but for story related reasons, there's a reason you go back in and you keep going and going and going. So you keep obviously you still keep doing the same thing over and over again, but there's
otherwise
a reason
it's
for
like,
it.
what's the point? Yeah.
But again, without spoilers, each time you clear it, it progresses the story further. But right now for me, it's crazy because if I die early, I'm progressing the story in the main, like the part that you guys are familiar with. But if I can clear it, then there's a different sense of story progression. So it keeps right. adding on layer upon layer upon layer, and the weapons. I showed this to Kelther. I don't think this is really. Is that a spoiler? What happens with the weapons, Kelther? I don't think it is. I think it's just a mechanic.
Not really. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the weapons once you I think it's once you beat the game, or is it after you unlock them all? I can't remember. But essentially the weapons have 4 different versions, and you can spend what's called Titan's Blood on customizing and investing into different weapons. So it completely changes up the play styles for every weapon. So it's just crazy. You got the weapon customization, the mirror, different talent things. You've got the gods. You've got there's apparently some kind of dating simulation you can go through. I don't even know how that works, but apparently with the gifting system, you can give people gifts, and it progresses romantic relationships and stuff like that. So it's got just so much stuff built in.
I was going to talk about that. Do you guys know much about that? I know that is part of the game where you can get nectars, I think, and you give the nectars to different NPCs in the game. And I know if you give the first nectar you give to each one, they give you it's called a keepsake, and that's like a passive ability you can have for the entirety of the run, I think, right? But I know you can gift the same one multiple times, and I think that gives you like a legendary keepsake or something. But is there more to the dating part than that?
Yeah, apparently there's more. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's more. You do, that is essentially what you do. You just keep giving them gifts and stuff. But
yeah,
I think it's more story based. I think there's just dialogue things that unlock and different different things. But what I did here too, so I've beaten the game twice, 2 or 3 times, and apparently once you beat it 10 times, it unlocks what's called the epilogue, which is a whole, and I don't even know what it is, but it's a whole new thing within the game, like the whole new story thing, new type of progression thing. So the credits actually don't really roll till you beat the final boss 4 times or 10 times, I should say.
Right.
So it's and then that opens up a whole other part of the game. So it's just it's nuts. Like when you look on Steam, there's people 300, 400, 500 hours in the game. So it's pretty deep.
Man. Yeah, that's crazy. Because I read an article too from Supergiant saying the game Pyre. I don't know anything about their game Pyre, but apparently it had multiple endings, but they had no real incentive to get people to find the other endings. Whereas it seems like they fixed that for this game, right? It's almost like you naturally go through the story just from playing it over and over and over, which incentivizes you to keep going. Oh, it's nuts. Such a good game.
Yeah.
What weapons do you guys like the best? Boone, let's go to you first. What's your go-to normally?
I just unlocked the trident, but I haven't used it yet. So based on the other 3, I'm going to say the bow. But having said that, I don't know. I had a really good run the other day with the shield because of the boons that I got. So it's funny that my name is Boone and there's boons in this game. But this is kind of going off topic, so I won't spend too long on this, but just another example of how good this game is. You think you know how your run is going to be, but now that I have a little bit of knowledge about what boons I come across, I almost find myself thinking oh, now I wish I had have taken the shield instead of the bow, because last time I got this boon with the shield, and that worked out really great, and now it's not really doing the same for me this time. So it's not even like you know how it's going to be just out of the gate with your weapon, but that's just kind of a side note in my opinion, how I don't know, customizable, that's not the right word, but how many variations you're going to play. You're never going to play the same one twice.
No,
I
definitely.
don't think you would.
Everyone is different. Yeah.
The worst feeling is when you have
answer, I guess I'll just say the bow for now.
Yeah, the bow. The worst feeling is when you have the best build, like you have the best boons, everything's clicking, and then you just die from something really stupid and you lose all of it.
Yes.
That is the worst.
That has happened.
Yeah. I think that's a common thing in a lot of roguelites though, when you get certain builds.
Oh yeah. I'll go through a room and I'll have dodged everything, and then in the next room I'll just be standing in a pit of fire for 10 seconds without noticing it.
Yeah. No, for
Just
sure.
what happens.
Yeah. What are the weapons? There's bow, the trident, the sword,
And the shield.
the shield. There's 6, right?
Yeah.
There's 6. Now, if you guys know what they are, I'd prefer not to know because I haven't seen them yet.
Okay.
There's just blank spots there.
Oh, there's blank spots. I actually don't think I know them all either.
No.
Yeah.
So if you do know what the other two
Okay,
are,
we'll
I'd
leave
rather
that.
not hear because I like the element of surprise.
So of the ones we mentioned, Erebus, unless there's another one that you like better.
of those 4.
Yeah,
What
there's
is your
6. I thought
favorite?
I thought it showed all 6 on the thing. I thought they were just
No,
at a lock on the.
No, I think it shows once you get 3, then it shows the 4th. Then when you get 4, it shows the 5. I think.
Okay.
No, but I don't think that's right either because I could see all 4 right from the beginning.
Maybe that's
I
what it
mean,
is.
I could see the sword, shield. Well, I had the sword, but I could see the shield, bow, and trident from the beginning. Now I don't know. I haven't played with the trident yet. Maybe when you play with that, you come back, you'll see the other 2. I don't know. But
You guys are talking about the spear, right?
Yeah.
yes, yeah, the one
The spear
you
is
can throw
sick.
it and press the same button and it comes
Yeah.
back to you and stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. So out of that, I've been
Maybe that's what it
using the. What have I been using? The shield. At that stage of the game, I was using the shield almost exclusively.
Shield is really fun.
I love the charge mechanic. It's probably the easiest weapon to get your first win on,
Okay.
because it can block. So you can perpetually just hold down a block and then like take a bunch of hits and then in between attacks charge, and then and you can get boons and different buffs for it to make it really really strong on the charge. So it's good for that way to learn mechanics without taking hits, and then
That's
I actually
true.
find, so it's pretty good. There's a weapon, I won't say what the weapon is, but there's a weapon that you unlock that I'm obsessed. Like it's the 6th weapon, and that's what I've mainly play now. That's what I've invested.
Oh yeah, I
my
remember you showing it
Titan's
to me.
blood
Yeah,
into.
it was
Yeah,
really
so
cool.
I've invested my Titan blood into it, and the other system that unlocks, and again, this is not, this is just to kind of show the longevity of the game. It's called the heat system. So to incentivize when you say, like, when you beat the game, obviously, like, what's the challenge, right? So like if you beat it and you've got good boons and your mirrors unlocked, like what's the incentive to keep playing? Like how do you keep it challenging? So what they do is the Titan's blood is what you unlock to edit the weapons. Like I said, it's different aspects on the weapons, but the Titan's blood are only good for, like, if you beat a boss on what's called Heat 0, which is what you guys are playing on now, you get blood for that the first time. After that, you don't get any blood once you beat each boss. Then you can go through heat levels. So when you add heat level 1, heat level 2, heat level 3, you have to put debuffs on in the game. So for example, you could have, to go to heat level 1, you could pick the option, okay, each room has 20% more enemies. Or when you stand in traps or magma, it does 600% more damage to you.
Yeah.
And that, but
I
you have
love
to
that.
pick.
Yeah.
So the addictive part of it is that you put heat level 1 on, right? So you have that 1 debuff, and then you beat the game again. But because you beat it on heat 1 with a specific weapon, you've got the blood for that heat, and you can't go any farther unless you go to heat 2 and then heat 3. So you keep adding debuff. So it just keeps getting harder and harder over time. So it's really cool. It's a really cool system to just make sure that the game's still fresh for you.
I think that's a common. I don't know if it's common, but I know certainly Slay the Spire, Boone, you probably know too. I think that has a similar system.
Okay.
I think every time you beat the game, then you can ascend or something, and then
ascension levels. That's what.
and then it
Now,
adds
it's
some
been
kind of debuff or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played. I did play that game a lot in a compact amount of time.
Yeah, same here.
But I did make it to what those ascension levels, I think is what they were called.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was essentially the same thing. I think enemies were stronger by 20% more or
stuff like that.
or what have you.
Yeah, it's a cool.
Yeah, it is. It just incentivize you to keep coming back and challenge yourself, right? So it's cool.
And there's a big speedrunning community in this game now too. That's what a lot of Twitch stuff is with this game.
Oh, yeah.
It's people doing speed runs, so it's cool.
And I'd be happy to beat it with a slow run. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'd be happy just to beat it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good feeling when you finally. My first one is just you get like that crazy combo with boons, like something just clicks, and then you kind of just ride all the way through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Boone and I were talking about this earlier, I think last night, but like I don't find the game crazy hard, but it's very punishing if you make a mistake. Does that make sense? Like it's hard because I haven't even gotten to the end, but it's not like
Yeah,
it's not like a
it's
Dark Souls hard, if that makes any sense.
it's interesting talking about the difficulty of it, and I guess to keep it in the same genre, I'll talk about Wizard of Legend. And earlier I said that was the only one I played, but I guess I played Slay the Spire as well, which is the same type of game. I don't know if I was thinking because it's cards that it wasn't that type of game, but anyways, I would say it is. But it's hard to rate it difficulty wise because I mean, well, I haven't beaten it yet, so it's not. You can't call it easy.
Yeah.
But I've beaten the first boss a couple times, and I really enjoyed myself. And I don't feel. It's kind of weird. I don't feel punished for dying because, like you both mentioned earlier, there's always something interesting back at the beginning. So I don't even feel the frustration of it. So I think I haven't even tried to come up with a difficulty rating for it because I enjoy every part of it.
That's a really good point.
It's
And
like I feel rewarded.
Maybe that's why it doesn't feel super difficult because it's like if you die, it's like, whatever, I'll just go again. Whereas if it was another game, you'd probably like throw your controller across the room.
Because
for restarting.
It's like, oh great, I have I found this nectar and now I have enough gemstones to do the things that I wanted to do back in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so now it's almost like I have two goals: to keep going or to die. So either way, I win. Yay.
Yeah, and you can keep upgrading. Like the mirror is cool too because you keep adding a little bit of abilities to it. And I like how they rotate the weapons so that like you get a 20% darkness buff if you use
right. Yeah, that's wicked.
So it kind of incentivizes using different weapons, so it freshens up the playstyle too. But it's like they just perfected the gameplay loop. That it just like you die, you come back, you have stuff to do with the hub. It's cool. It's a different part of the game, and then you go back out, and it's just the way they do the voice acting, the music, and everything. It just really immerses you. I find it's a weird comparison to bring up, but I find in Breath of the Wild because there's very few single player games that grip me. I'm primarily a multiplayer gamer. I just can't get hooked on single player games. A lot of the ones I play, I don't have the drive to play them. But one of the other ones that I played extensively was Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I've not been able to play any other Zelda games. I can't get into it, and I find it's the same kind of thing. It perfected the gameplay loop of having the shrines and kind of going in there and doing your thing, and then you're out in the world doing. I just found the mix of those two things, like the shrines and then the out in the world gameplay, kind of mixed it up and kept it fresh. And there was just different incentives to keep going. And I find that's what Hades has done perfectly is I just consistently feel progress and I feel I'm getting stronger and the randomness, like when you're going through and like you get to the door and like, I don't know if you guys have had these moments where you're like about to die or like you're really close to dying and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it through another room. And then you like, by the grace of God, see a shop or you have some like free heart or something that just pops up at the perfect time. Yeah, it's like you have this massive adrenaline rush and then you die and it's like, okay, now I'm going to do some lore stuff. And it's just cool.
It's just, I've never felt so frustrated that I had to turn the game off, which is very rare for a game like this.
For a roguelite, I like Dead Cells is another roguelite I played quite extensively, which had a good progression system. I did like the progression in it. But I got so mad in that game every time I died. Every time I died, I turned it off many times just because I was just triggered for some reason, which has not happened to me in Hades.
Boone, are you familiar with Dead Cells?
No, I mean I've heard of it, but I've never played it. I don't even think I've watched like a trailer for it or anything. But see, prior to I'll say 4 or 5 days ago, this is a genre that I never would have found myself interested in. And now I don't know. It's almost like there's part of me that thinks that I want to go check them out, but there's also part of me that's thinking, well, this game. I'm getting the impression that this game has kind of set the bar for these. So. I worry that if I did go and try anything else, it's not going to compare, or maybe I have a new appreciation for the genre.
Well, that was going to lead to my next point. I was going to say, like, what exactly sets this game apart from other roguelite games? So, and we can use Dead Cells in the discussion, or other games, for example.
I would say accessibility is the biggest thing. Like, I think Dead Cells and other roguelites, like, depending on what appeals to you, usually the focus of the roguelite is the combat. So, like, Dead Cells, I would argue in some cases has better combat than Hades. Dead Cells combat is incredible.
It is
the way that it works. But I don't think Hades has good combat. The controls are tight. The FPS is good. All that stuff is good. But I don't think it's what makes it. It's the whole package of the game. So, like, I find like the roguelite part of it is like just a subset of a bigger game. So if you like, I would say that this game, you know, to your Bama Hut Boon is if I was to bet, if I was a betting man, I would say you wouldn't, depending on what part of the roguelite within Hades that you like. But if it's the lore, the fact that when you die, you're progressing some story and some stuff like that, like the story progression, I think is unique to Hades. I don't think that's in any other roguelites that I'm aware of. I think Everspace might be the only other one that does that, which is a space roguelite, but it's very primitive compared to this. So if that's what appeals to you, but because the other ones are a lot more kind of like, just it's, you know, competitive. Or competitive with yourself. Like, it's just it's focused on the combat. It's focused on the roguelite and just going farther each time and knowing when you die, you're back at the start and you just do it all over again. Like, that's the.
Because I think
maybe I would give Dead Cells a try then in that case, because I don't know, it's kind of split for me, the combat and the storyline and stuff in Hades. So but I do like the combat enough, like that side of it enough to maybe think about trying Dead Cells.
Yeah, if you like the combat, Dead Cells is really, really good combat. Really good.
I've on Reddit and different places, a lot of people share this sentiment that I have. Like, Dead Cells is awesome for about 20 hours, but then it's almost like you've seen everything the game has. It's still fun and you can still progress, but it's almost like it gets a bit repetitive. And there's a huge drop off point, I find. And I think Erebus, you were kind of the same way.
Same exact thing. I was addicted for probably 20-25 hours, and then I just stopped.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't.
Whereas Hades feels fresh like every run. Like, it's like almost like not you're playing a different game, but it's like, you know, something different is going to happen. Whereas Dead Cells is like, you might find a different weapon to pick up or something, but the core experience is basically the same thing every time. That's, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree, but that's my experience with it. But I
think there's enough variance for it to feel different every time. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And this is a whole separate discussion. We could have a whole topic on this, but there's roguelikes and roguelites. So roguelike, I did a little bit of research today, my understanding is more of like a top-down view of a strategy RPG kind of thing. And when you restart, you have zero progression. So like run 3 or run 5, you have the exact same amount of progress that you had at the very beginning. Whether you play for 1,000 hours or 1, it's like there's no progress at all. Whereas roguelites are more like Hades and Dead Cells and Slay the I can't remember Slay the Spire now. Yeah, Slay the Spire. Like, you progress. Like, I think you unlock different cards in Slay the Spire. So basically, there is a progression aspect in these games, and to me, like I said, I don't like wasting time. I don't like picking up a game and put in 100 hours and get nothing to show for it. You know what I'm saying? So I personally like the roguelite genre better that way. But do you guys kind of feel the same way about that? So
this is light?
Yeah.
Light,
so
like L-I-T-E?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a difference.
Yeah.
There's I'm on the same way. Like, progression for me in most games is like essential. Like, in the same way, like, I want to feel like I'm earning something and progress, especially in something single player too. Like multiplayer, like Rocket League.
Multiplayer is different story. For sure.
You're trying to get just more skill to compete against your friends and stuff like that. But in single player, I find like I need some sort of, achievement or reward system to like keep me going in the game.
Yeah, and the argument I've heard against roguelites is that the reward for a roguelike is that just from you progress in within yourself, I guess. It's like if you get better at the game and you progress further in the game, that itself is a reward because you are getting better at the game, which is fine, but not just doesn't fit my personality.
I would argue to those people that it's way more repetitive. Like I find with Hades, I still think there's a lot of skill in it, and like I said, the heat system is implemented in those types of things. So, but by you getting stronger, it changes up the gameplay. Like it changes it completely.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good point because I get what they're saying. Okay, you beat it like with nothing, I'll say, even though like you did build up more skill. But yeah, in Hades, and we've talked about this, you can get boons and they change like your gameplay and stuff. And you might get lucky and get a really good combination that does make you, a little bit stronger than with the exact same number of boons, but they're different. But there's also the aspect that, okay, I've never played with this combination before, so I'm going in this room and I'm learning how to do it now. I mean, you know what buttons to press for each moves and stuff, but like you have no time or memory or experience to develop the exact strategy you're going to use based on the boon you just got because you may have never used it with the other ones that you have. Does that make sense?
That's a good point too. So you're almost having to adapt on the fly as you go anyways.
Yeah. And I mean, I know some of them are really strong. So like, depending on what they are, it's not a hard thing to adapt to, but it's still is a certain combination that you may have never played before.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've done 45 runs or something like that. Tip, if you buy the pool, I think it's called a pool, from the vendor with the crystals, that you can like edit your room and house and stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a pool you can buy for your room. It goes right next to your bed, and you can click on the pool, and it's something called like looking into the past. But you basically click it, and it tells you how many foes you've slain and also how many runs that you've done. So it's cool just to keep track of it's cool just for stat tracking. But anyways, I think I've done like 45 runs. But yeah, like I have a different combo every single time. There's also things called duo boons. I don't know if you guys have seen those yet. Like they can happen like sometimes where like you might have Poseidon and Zeus. You might have boons.
Oh yes, I've had those a couple times.
And then sometimes randomly Poseidon and Zeus will offer you a duo boon. So like a boon combined that does like a combination of things. So
never mind.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like where one like gets pissed off and like attacks you.
First,
like,
so that what you guys are talking about is a specific room. So like there's a room where you pick a boon and then out of between two of them, and then the other guy gets mad and attacks you, and then you have to survive, and then you get his boon as well. Those rooms are amazing if you can survive, but they're hard. But no, you eventually have duo. I don't know, maybe it's unlocked later on, but I don't remember unlocking. I thought it was part of the normal thing, but there's duo boons. So you'll have like boons for Zeus and Poseidon, and then all of a sudden you'll pick up a boon, and all of a sudden Zeus will start talking to Poseidon, or Poseidon will start talking to Zeus or whatever, and then but it's triggered by you having the boons for both of them, and then he'll offer you like a boon that's combined, so it'll like do lightning and water stuff, and like
that's
that
crazy.
Kind of stuff.
Very cool.
So that just mixes it up again. Yeah. So that like you have a whole new kind of subset.
It sounds like it's like limitless. Like how do they come up with all these dialogue options?
I know,
but I think it's really cool that they which we've kind of touched on, is they sprinkle in, because clearly you guys, so they sprinkle in new features, so like that's also keeps it really fresh. Like they keep sprinkling on new things like the heat system and the weapon progression system and the duo boons, and like so that also keeps it fresh, and I'm sure there's more that I haven't seen. I'm only probably 25 or 30 hours in, but once you like you just keep adding on little things. So I think what I said to Kelthar before the podcast started, which I I'd argue with people, is whether you like the game or not. I think it's objectively what you could call a perfect game, in that just the way that it's designed appeals to a wide variety of audience. I would have trouble. I would like to see someone that would critique this game from a like non. Like, some people obviously won't like the game for different reasons, but actually critique it as a bad game. I'd love to see like what a bad review. I didn't research anything beforehand, but I really feel like this game does all of like the core, what you want to see. Like there's some fundamental principles in this game that a lot of gaming companies should look at and try to adopt. I think in terms of just you could adopt it to different types of games. But just to keep people playing and incentivize gameplay and stuff like that. Like there's some cool things that they've done that I think could be applied.
We'll aim to wrap up this discussion here then. Like, so we're saying it could perhaps be a game of the year. You're saying it could perhaps be close to a perfect game, and you can't see how anyone could call it a bad game. So, yeah, like, are there any issues with the game that have stood out for you guys? Or, like, do you agree? Like, do you think it could be game of the year or maybe a perfect game? Like, Boone, what do you think about that?
I mean, I already had a feeling that I have only seen a small percentage of it so far. I was thinking like maybe 5 to 10%. Now after hearing this, I'm thinking maybe 1 to 2%. and I've loved every minute of that. So I don't know. I agree with those points. I know this is supposed to be a controversial channel, but I can't disagree with anything that's been said because it's just so good. It's just the story is riveting. The gameplay is just so enjoyable. It's so easy to learn, but difficult to master. And I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with anything critical about it.
So if you traditionally hate roguelike or roguelite games, would you still like this game? And I know you kind of touched on this, Boone, because you were saying like it's not really a genre that stuck out for you that you've really committed any time to, but like do you think if there's someone who like absolutely hates Binding of Isaac and Dead Cells and Enter the Gungeon and all these kind of games, like do you think they would be drawn to this game?
I do. I really do. I guess it would be hard for me to speak for someone who says they hate them, but if anyone's listening and who's on the fence or would even say that, I just don't like them, I would say, I was someone who I never would have called myself a fan of them, like I said. I don't know, it never would have been on my radar. I don't know. I don't know. I'm finding it hard to. Yeah. It's almost like I'm as confused explaining that as I am coming up with the difficulty rating about it.
Yeah,
like I was saying. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a gem, right? It
is, and maybe that's why it has me off.
Like games like this don't come around very often. As far
very
as
rare you see something like universally
praised.
Like this. Yeah. It's really tough. Like the only type of person I think would be like if there's certain people that just don't like story stuff, right? And there's people that will just go purely for gameplay, but even there, like the gameplay is phenomenal. So you'd almost need to be a combination of somebody that doesn't like story and doesn't like the repetition of roguelites for whatever reason. Like that would be the only type of person I think that wouldn't like it, which I think is very small group of people. Hence why the reviews are so favorable.
Yeah.
But even the story, I mean, it's not like it's not like there's all these long drawn out cutscenes. I mean, you can rush the story if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to because it's very interesting, but you can rush that if you really didn't care for it.
I think the other thing we didn't touch on too is the concept is very original. Like it's not that I've never seen anything like this. Like it's like in terms of how just the whole idea of your Hades son escaping hell for a variety of reasons, and then as you guys will see when you beat it, like how the story progresses from there.
To me, the concept is familiar. It's just they've expanded on it so much. It's never been done like that. Because typically a roguelite, you're on level 1, you try to get to the end, and right, but they're changing it like you're at the bottom trying to escape from this dungeon or whatever. You're in, right? So it's just, I guess, like if you're not a fan of action games, and you typically play like, I don't know, simulation games or heavily story-based like walking simulator type games, then you're probably not going to like this, right? But if you're someone who likes any kind of action whatsoever in a game, to me, there's nothing not to like, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think if you're a fan of gaming in general, though, like I just kind of circling back is like you owe yourself to play this game. Like it's just. It's like, again, it's not made by like some some massive studio that had a lot of resources. Like they did this, like I said, they didn't use professional voice actors for some of the voice acting. It's just people that worked on the game, like the guy that did the music, for example.
It's a good way to save money.
Like they really, it's like a passion project. And if you look at their other games, Bastion, Pyre, and Transistor, Bastion and Transistor are actually on sale for $3 each on the Switch eShop at the $3 or $4. I'm actually probably gonna pick them up tonight. I haven't tried them, but if you look their reviews up, universally praised as well.
Yeah,
they're not roguelites, but they're apparently Hades takes a lot of elements. So like it has Bastion's combat, but Transistor's art design for Hades. So like they've taken a lot of stuff from their other games and put it into this. So I mean, they're just a developer that I think knows how to make good games.
Yeah.
And there's no like microtransactions.
How many other games have you played that repeat the same dialogue over and over and over? Like, and I legitimately have not heard the same line twice.
I know, and there's not many games. I don't know.
I can't think of another game that
say that. Yeah.
What other game has been like that I haven't played one? Not that I know of.
No, I can't think of the only thing that I can think of was no, never mind. That's not even an example of one. Never mind. I can't.
Right on. We got to wrap this discussion up. Any final thoughts before we go to the trivia? Anything you want to say about Hades? Erebus, we'll start with you there.
Amazing game, amazing concept, great gameplay, awesome game on the Switch. Something I didn't mention as well for people that like I might double dip, and I don't normally double dip on games, but it's not out yet, but it will have cross save functionality with PC. So if you do want to run it on your PC and run it at a little bit better graphics, some better FPS and stuff, you can run it on Steam, save your game, and then pop it on the Switch. That kind of thing. I love games that do that. Witcher 3 does it as well, and I'm hoping it's more games do that in the future because it's cool to have the choice and variety. But
definitely,
and no, I mean, 99% of people should try this, or everyone should try it. It's very rare. I think everybody will get something out of the game. And I don't even think it's that expensive, right? It's like $20 or $25.
It's not that bad,
but it's
something like that.
Yeah. I can't. The game must look beautiful on like 144 hertz, like with all the stuff going across the screen, man.
Yeah, I'd love to try it.
Sweet. Boone, final thoughts on Hades?
I'm going to echo all that. Go pick it up if you haven't already. I'm going to play it after this. I'm kind of looking forward to this being over so I can play it.
Fair enough.
That's it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say the exact same thing. If you haven't played this game, like you need to at least watch a few videos to convince yourself to go get it. If we haven't convinced you already, like just watch some videos. You will want to give it. If you're a gamer, I would be very surprised if you don't like this game. If you don't like this game, let us know because I want to know who you are.
Yeah, I'd love to hear why.
Yeah,
that's true. I would like to talk to somebody that doesn't like it.
Yeah,
it's true. And one final note, you said go watch a few videos about it. Now you have to take these comments with a grain of salt, but every review or trailer I've seen, I like to scan down through the comments, and I've seen several of these comments on all the videos that I've watched of people saying that I don't like or I don't care for this genre, but this game is amazing.
Yeah.
No.
I honestly think it's objectively amazing, incredible game. And Athricus in the chat says, I hate this game.
There you go. We'll have to have Athricus on next week. And
yeah, that's why that's why he's not on the show tonight, because he literally doesn't know anything about this game. So hopefully after this discussion, Athricus, you will have bought this game immediately. I'm sure you will.
He just hates that he played this game.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's just so mad that he hasn't played it. You're right.
Yeah, there's a few words missing.
Yeah. Right on. Well, that'll do it for the discussion of the game. Let's just clue up today. This is a segment I always like to do at the end of every show. I call it trivia, and I'll ask a games-related question to these guys that ideally they don't already know the answer to. It's kind of like an educated guess they have to make at the end. But it does directly have to do with Hades. So Hades was developed by Supergiant Games, as we've talked about earlier in the show, and they created Bastion and Transistor and Pyre. So Hades is their fourth game. How many employees work at Supergiant Games? So is it A, 5, B, 20, C, 50, or D, 100? So how many employees work at Supergiant Games? Is it 5, 20, 50, or 100?
Gotta think go ahead. I guess.
And I'll say this number has not gone up since Hades has been released. It's been a steady number like the whole time. I'll give that as a hint. So, Boone, you got an answer. Erebus, do you have an idea?
I think I know. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Boone, we'll start with you. What do you think? How many employees work at Supergiant Games?
I'm guessing A5.
A5. Any particular reason you're going with 5?
I don't know. Before you said the numbers, I just wanted to say the lowest number that you were going to say. That's what I had in my mind.
Okay. So you think it's only 5 employees. Erebus, what do you think?
I'm fairly sure it's 20. I think it's either 20 or 50, but I've read a lot about this company, and I know, like, I've read that they've stayed static. They also have, like, the same people still there that were part of Bastion and Transistor and everything. Like that Darren guy I mentioned that does Zagreus, he's been there since the very beginning on other games. I just don't. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm gonna guess 20.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
All right. So Boone's going with 5. He thinks it's only a very small amount, and Erebus is going with 20. Well, Erebus, you got yourself another point, my friend. There you go. The answer is 20. So since the release of Hades in early access up until now, it's still been 20. It's just 20 people that they have, which even it's not 5, but 20 is an impressive number
really
to
small.
pull off a game like this
yeah.
with the amount of dialogue and depth, and it's unbelievable. 20 people.
Must be some rich people there with that small of a.
I'd
all the money
say
they're
they're
pulling
making
in.
bank from. I'd say they were already doing pretty well with those other games. Now, I think their other games were considered underrated. I think this is the one that's actually meeting.
I don't know. Bastion's underrated. Bastion's pretty.
I think it's still considered pretty underrated. Like I consider, I think it's considered like an incredible game, but not a worldwide acclaim. Not to the level of Hades, anyway.
It's got
Can you say
20.
these are on sale on the Switch right now?
Yeah, I think it's got another day on it, so they're 80% off. Bastion and Transistor, and they're both. Pyre is only on PC, but Bastion and Transistor are. Bastion's got 24,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a pretty good. Good. Both of those games are story based, so they're same kind of
They're
graphic
more
style,
linear.
but
They're more linear,
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
a little more linear, yeah, but same kind of. Yeah.
What I like about Supergiant on Games on their website, it says their slogan, or I don't know if it's slogan, but at the top of their page it says Supergiant Games is a small developer with big ambitions.
Yeah,
I like that.
They're
a lot.
definitely
And
achieving that for sure.
That definitely sums up what Hades is. Like,
I'm not normally a fan of developers. Like I don't really care. I don't normally.
no, definitely.
But like these guys are like they're so consistent. Like I would trust. Same with kind of Cyberpunk, right? With CP, whatever they're called.
CD
Like
Projekt Red. Yeah.
You just trust the developer. Like they're so consistent with what they release. Like they haven't. This company hasn't made a bad game. All of their games are extremely highly reviewed.
Yeah. But like I said, I can't think of another game that is this well-rounded, like just all-around good.
Yeah.
Like even Breath of the Wild, I can critique it, and a lot of people can, even though it's considered one of the best games of all time. There's still a
of the
few
Wild's
issues with it, right? But like
There's a lot of issues with it.
but
it's
Hades,
still, it's an amazing game.
But Hades, I don't know. I honestly can't. So in the comments or give us an email or something. Just let us know if you have an issue with Hades or if you just don't like it. Please tell us why, because we would love to hear from you on that. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Erebus, any final thoughts before we go? Anything you want to plug or say before we head out?
Twitch.tv/Erebus lost a couple followers over the last couple of months. I'm down to 338, I think, and I'm going on about 5 years of not streaming, which is crazy. I can't believe it's been 5 years. November 2015 was the last time I streamed, and but next week might be the week that I start streaming. Most likely not, though.
Right on. And Bama Hut Boone. Again, everybody, follow him on Twitch. Give him some love. Give him some support. And you can watch him play some more Hades and Mario Maker and maybe Mario 35. Anything else you want to plug or anything else you want to say before we head off?
No, that's all I've got right now. And I'm hoping to expand. We'll see.
Yeah. So is there any time you're typically streaming?
Oh yeah, that was the only thing that I wanted to mention, was that I don't have a time yet, but I do plan on in the next week maybe posting a schedule
Sure.
on my Twitch page, so that at least if you visit it by, I'll say, the end of this week, I'll have a schedule put in, and I'll try to keep that updating, because it's going to change, but I'll try to always have it updated.
Sure. Do you have any other social media, or is it just Twitch for now?
No, it's just Twitch for now.
Just Twitch for now. So cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. As for us, you can follow us on Twitter. I never cast 4, the number 4 of this. And you can follow me at Kelthar. If you have any questions or comments or trivia questions that you want to stump us on, email at us at inevercastforthis@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitch. If you're listening on the audio form, you can catch us live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays at twitch.tv/inevercastforthis. We also have a Discord channel, and we have a little small community there that we'd love to have you join us there and join us on the discussion. We're also on Instagram and other forms of social media as well. And you can listen to past episodes. We've discussed lots of controversial things, such as achievements in gaming and microtransactions and all sorts of controversial things where we've got some pretty heated debates. So feel free to watch or listen to old episodes as well. And that's going to do it for us. So thank you, Erebus and Bama Hutboon, for joining. You did great, man. Thank for being a
Thanks,
first.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It was great having you on the show
hope
for
to
the
come
first
back.
time. We would love to have you back for sure. And that's going to
Thanks
do it.
for
What? And Erebus has already entered the world of VR. VR looks ridiculous when you're watching somebody else.
Yeah, it does.
Right on.
All right, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.